You open an app. You see a face you have never met in person. And somehow, without ever shaking their hand, you feel like you know them. That feeling is not random. It is not shallow. It is one of the oldest wires in your brain, firing in a world it was never built for. For most of human history, you knew everyone you saw. Every face, every voice, every gesture. There were no strangers passing through your life 1,000 at a time. There was only the group, and the group was survival. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent years studying primate brains and human social groups. He found something strange. The size of a primate's brain correlated tightly with the size of its social group. Bigger brain, bigger group. And when he applied the same formula to humans, one number kept appearing. 150. That number is now called Dunbar's number. It is the rough limit of stable relationships your brain can meaningfully track at once. Not names, not faces, relationships. Who owes who a favor? Who fought last winter? Who shared meat when you were sick? Your brain did not evolve to sort millions of people into strangers and friends. It evolved to know everyone deeply in a small and closed world. That was the entire environment. There was no other option. Now think about your phone. In a single scroll, you pass more human faces than your ancestors saw in a lifetime. A face laughing, a face crying, a face announcing a birth, a breakup, a small victory. Your brain does not have a filing system for internet stranger. It only has one filing system, person I might know. So it applies the only tool it has. Psychologist Robin Dunbar's later work, along with research from media theorists in the 1950s, gave this a name. Horton and Wohl called it a parasocial relationship, a one-sided bond. You feel connected to someone who does not know you exist. This is not a flaw in you. It is your ancient social software running on modern hardware it cannot recognize. Here is where it gets stranger. Your brain uses very old cues to decide who counts as in the group. Eye contact, tone of voice, repeated exposure, vulnerability, laughter. A camera pointed at a face, talking directly to you, checks almost every one of those boxes. Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky has spent decades studying stress and social bonding in primates. His research shows that the brain does not have a separate region for real relationship versus simulated relationship. It uses the same neural circuitry for both. Oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, does not check credentials. It responds to signals. And a familiar face speaking gently into a camera, night after night, sends exactly the signals oxytocin was built to answer. Think about that. Your body is not being tricked by some clever design. It is doing exactly what it was built to do, using a shortcut that worked perfectly for 200,000 years and only recently stopped matching reality. There is another layer to this. Repeated exposure alone builds familiarity, even without interaction. Psychologist Robert Zayonk demonstrated this decades ago with something called the mere exposure effect. He showed that people rated unfamiliar images, symbols, even faces, as more likable simply because they had seen them before. No conversation required, no shared experience required, just repetition. Now apply that to a creator you watch every week. Same face, same voice, same rhythm of speech. Your brain logs each exposure the same way it logged seeing the same person at the same fire, over and over thousands of years ago. Familiarity was never proof of friendship. It was only ever a signal your brain trusted because, for almost all of human history, it was reliable. It no longer is. But your brain has not caught up. So why does this matter? Why does it feel important, rather than just an interesting fact? Because this ancient wiring shapes real behavior today. People feel genuine grief when a public figure they never met dies. People defend online personalities as if defending a family member. People feel less alone scrolling through a feed of familiar faces, even when no one on that screen knows their name. This is not weakness. It is not delusion. It is your body applying its oldest and most trusted tool for detecting safety and connection, because that tool has no newer version installed. There is a mirror here worth sitting with. Ancient humans lived in groups where every face mattered, and every face was known back. Today, many of the faces you know do not know you. That asymmetry is new. It is only a few decades old. Your brain, running on hardware built over millions of years, has not had time to build a category for it. And yet, the feeling persists. The comfort of a familiar voice at the end of a long day. The strange sense of loss when a channel goes quiet. The instinct to say, "I feel like I know them," about someone who has never once looked back at you. That instinct is not foolish. It is proof that your brain is still doing the one job it was built for since the very beginning. Finding people worth trusting and holding on to them once it thinks it has. You open the app again tomorrow. A familiar face appears. And once again, without ever shaking their hand, you will feel like you know them. That is not the internet fooling you. That is 200,000 years of your ancestors still quietly deciding who belongs to your tribe.